The sun was bright, glaring down on the bustling city streets, yet no light could compete with the chaos unfolding on 7th Avenue that afternoon. Flames licked the windows of the corner office building, thick smoke billowing into the sky, painting the day with terror. Pedestrians screamed and scattered, cars screeched to a halt, and sirens wailed in the distance. Amid the confusion, a lone figure ran toward the inferno, not away from it. Marcus Hale, a single father with tired eyes and calloused hands, had been on his way to pick up his 8-year-old daughter, Ava, from school when he saw her, a woman trapped on the 3rd-floor balcony, smoke choking her, flames roaring beneath her feet. Instinct overrode reason. Without a second thought, Marcus sprinted toward the building, weaving past panicked onlookers and debris, his heart pounding like a war drum. He climbed the emergency stairs 2 at a time, the heat searing his skin, his lungs burning from smoke inhalation. When he reached the balcony, he grabbed her trembling arms and pulled her close. "Hold on! I've got you!" he shouted, his voice cutting through the roar of the fire. In that instant, everything else, his recent job struggles, sleepless nights, bills piling up, vanished. It was just him, this woman, and the fragile thread of life hanging between them. The fire seemed to sense his resolve, snapping closer, hungry for destruction, but Marcus refused to falter. He shielded her body with his own, navigating the narrow balcony and steering her toward the stairs. Every step was a battle, every breath a victory. Finally, outside, Marcus collapsed on the sidewalk, coughing, black soot coating his hair and clothes. The woman he had saved leaned heavily against him, gasping for air, tears streaking her face. The chaos of the fire trucks, the shouts of onlookers, and the crackling flames receded into a blur. Marcus only realized how heavy she felt in his arms, how alive she was because of him. When she finally looked up at him, squinting against the sun and smoke, Marcus froze. The features beneath the soot were familiar, striking, commanding, intimidating. The last person he expected to rescue was the woman who had fired him just a month ago. Helena Marwood, CEO of the tech company where he had worked tirelessly for years, was gasping for breath, soot smudging her designer blouse. I can't believe this," Marcus whispered, his voice a mix of disbelief and bitter irony. Just weeks ago, Helena had dismissed him from his job, citing downsizing and a lack of initiative. Marcus had walked out, humiliated, despite being the sole provider for Ava, wondering how he would make rent next month and feed his daughter. And now here she was, alive, thanks to him. The absurdity of it all hit him like a freight train, but there was no time for reflection. Firefighters arrived, taking control of the situation, and Helena was whisked away in an ambulance. Marcus watched from across the street, his chest heaving, soot still clinging to his hair, his heart pounding with the strange, heavy cocktail of relief, anger, and moral triumph. By the next morning, Marcus's phone was buzzing incessantly. News outlets had captured his heroism, the man who ran into a burning building and saved a life. Photos of him, soot-covered and bloodied, cradling Helena in his arms, went viral. He smiled at Ava, who was bouncing with excitement. "Daddy, you're a real-life superhero!" she exclaimed, tugging at his hand. But Marcus didn't smile for the fame. Fame couldn't pay bills or replace lost wages. Yet for the first time in weeks, he felt a surge of pride that no termination letter could steal. Meanwhile, Helena's life had taken a rare pause. The fire had burned through her office, leaving a mess she could not ignore. And as she lay in a hospital bed, Marcus's face kept replaying in her mind. Not just the face of the man who had saved her life, but the face of someone she had dismissed unfairly. She remembered the long hours he had spent at the company, quietly going above and beyond, the dedication she had overlooked in favor of corporate metrics. There was something humbling in seeing him risk everything for her, a woman he barely knew, yet acted without hesitation. When Helena was discharged, she requested to meet Marcus again. She arrived at the small apartment he shared with Ava, dressed casually this time, humility replacing her usual air of authority. Marcus opened the door, and for a moment, neither spoke. Ava, sensing the tension, peeked around her father and said, "You look like the lady from the fire." Helena laughed nervously, and Marcus couldn't help but notice the vulnerability in her eyes, the contrast to the cold, unyielding boss he had known. She extended her hand, but Marcus only shook his head, stepping aside to let her in. I don't know how to say this," Helena started, her voice uncharacteristically soft. "I was wrong. About you, about everything." Marcus raised an eyebrow. "That's not something you hear often from a CEO." She smiled faintly, a flicker of remorse in her gaze. "I had my reasons, or at least I thought I did. But seeing you risk your life, it made me realize what really matters. Dedication, courage, integrity. Qualities I overlooked because I was too focused on numbers and reports." Marcus felt a lump in his throat. All the bitterness he had been holding on to, the anger, the sleepless nights, the anxiety over providing for Ava, wasn't gone, but it softened. He nodded slowly. "I didn't save you because I wanted recognition. I did it because it was the right thing, but thank you." Helena's eyes glistened. "I want to make it right. If you'll let me, I'd like to offer you your job back, with a promotion, and a chance to lead a team the way you always deserved." Marcus looked down at Ava, who was quietly studying Helena with wide, curious eyes. The thought of stability, of providing his daughter with comfort and security, swirled with a new sense of empowerment. But he also realized something deeper. This wasn't just about a job. It was about integrity, resilience, and the unexpected twists of life that remind us of what matters. I'll think about it," Marcus said finally. He extended his hand, not just in agreement, but as a gesture of respect, bridging the gap between past grievances and future possibilities. Helena shook it firmly, relief and gratitude mingling in her expression. Days turned into weeks, and Marcus found himself gradually returning to the corporate world, not as a submissive employee, but as a confident leader with a renewed sense of purpose. Helena, now humbled by the experience, became not just a CEO, but a mentor who recognized the human side of leadership. Their professional relationship transformed, but it was the bond forged in the crucible of fire, courage, and mutual respect that remained unbreakable. Marcus also noticed changes in Ava. She had grown bolder, inspired by her father's heroism. "Daddy, when I grow up, I want to help people too," she said one evening, as they watched the sun set over the city skyline from their apartment balcony. Marcus smiled, his heart full. "You already have that in you, kiddo, just like me." Even more surprising was the personal growth Helena experienced. She started volunteering at local charities, visiting schools, and funding programs for families in need. Actions she had never considered important in the pursuit of corporate success. Every time she met Marcus, there was a quiet acknowledgement of the day their lives intersected